What is up everybody? Today we are looking at how to find the missing lengths in compound shapes using algebra. Let's go. Okay, so you can see that we have a compound shape here. This is actually a pretty tricky one. We're going to start with something a little easier. Let's have a look at this to start with. And we're going to follow these steps. First we're going to find the opposite length of the length we're looking for. Then we'll find the length next door. And then we're going to use a formula to help us solve it. Well, you can see here in this example we have this missing length x. And now my first step told me that to find x I need to look opposite. So I'm just going to look opposite until I can find another length. And I can see this length here of 8 centimeters. But in this case that's not the full length of what I need. I need this full length at the bottom. So my 8 centimeters gets me up to here. But then I need some more. So I'm going to look opposite again and I can see up here I have 2 centimeters that I'm going to use as well. So I'm going to use this 2 centimeters and this 8 centimeters. So that's what step 2 meant, looking next door. Because this 8 centimeters was not all that I needed. I needed to look next door to my 8 and see that there's a 2 as well. So I'm going to relabel these two measurements as A and B. And now to make this into a formula, I'm going to say that A plus B must equal X. Okay, well now let's substitute in our numbers. We have 2 centimeters for A, so it would be 2 plus B equals X. And I have 8 centimeters for B, so 2 plus 8 equals X. Therefore, 10 equals X, or X equals 10, same thing. Okay, but that was pretty easy, wasn't it? Because we could see our opposite lengths really easily and just sort of add them up in our head. 2 plus 8 must equal our x. Let's look at a more challenging one. Here we have this missing measurement x down here. So again, I'm going to follow my steps. Find the opposite length. So what is opposite this length here? Well, I'm going to look over here and I'm going to see this length of 5. Okay. So I think this 5 centimeters is going to help me, but that's not enough. So I'm going to follow step 2 and I'm going to look next door. Well, next door this time means next to my x. So this is my x line. So next door would be this length here. And this length is 3. So I'm going to use this length here. Okay, so let's think about what we know. This length here is 5 centimeters. This length here is 3. And this length here where my x is going to be the difference between 5 and 3. Because if I subtract this 3 away from my 5, I'm going to get this missing length. Or to think of it another way, if I add my 3 to my x, I'm going to get 5. So let's put this into a formula and see how we can do it. So again, let's give these lengths letters or variable values. So this will be A and this will be B. So I could do it this way. This is a bit of a longer way. I could do x plus b will equal a, because this length plus this length will equal this whole total. But remember, with the formula we need to get x on its own. So how can I get x on its own? Well, I can inverse my b. So it would be x equals a subtract b. And in this case we know the value of a, so x equals 5 subtract, and we also know the value of b, which is 3. So x is 5 minus 3, therefore x equals 2. So our missing length is 2 centimeters. Okay, but there is a quicker way if we're a bit more confident with inverse. We could go straight into putting x on its own, and I could say that x is equal to a subtract b. This requires a bit more inverse knowledge to understand that x, this small value, will be equal to the larger value subtract the other smaller value. So x equals a minus b, x equals 5 minus 3, x equals 2. One less step to do, a little bit quicker. Okay, ready for a challenging one. Here we go. We can actually see that in this one we've got 2 missing variables, 2 missing lengths. We have this x up here and y down here. Let's start by solving the value of y first. So y is this length just here. So my first step says to find the opposite length. Now with this one I can either come this way or I can come this way for my opposite because they're both 6 centimeters. I'm going to choose to look at this length here on the left, and I'm going to call this length A. So what other information is here that I'm going to need? Well, I can look next door for my other length, and I can see that next door I have a length of 3 centimeters, and we'll call this length B. Therefore, X is equal to A subtract B, and now we can put those values in. A is 6 centimeters and B is 3, so X equals 6 minus 3, which is 3. So my Y value here is actually 3 centimeters. Okay, now I want to find X. X is up here. First things first, I'm going to look for that opposite length, and my opposite length is this great big length at the bottom, 10 centimeters, that I'm going to label A. Now this is where it's a little bit more challenging, because look, if I look next door for my other useful lengths, I can see that I have one length here that's going to be useful because this is a part of my 10, but I've also got to have this one here. So I've got 2 other parts that make up my whole of 10, or A as we're now calling it. So let's label these. I'm going to label this 4 centimeters B, and I'm going to label this 4 centimeters C. So now X is equal to the long length of A, subtract the 2 smaller lengths of B and C. So X equals 10, subtract 4, X equals 2. Now this is not a very neat way of writing our formula this time, because we don't really want to put subtract in a row like that. So what we'd actually write this as is X equals A subtract B plus C. Because if you think about it, B plus C would be this 4 centimeters added to this 4 centimeters, and then if we just subtracted that combination away from my 10 centimeters, I'm still going to get the same answer. So let's check it. So X equals A, which is 10, subtract B plus C, which is 4 plus 4. And now BODMAS tells me I've got to work out the brackets first. So X equals 10 minus 4 plus 4 is 8. So therefore X equals 10 minus 8, which is 2. Same answer. Just a bit of a better way of writing it. Okay, there you go. Let's think about the things to remember. First, start by finding the opposite length. The opposite length is going to tell you what the total of that length needs to be. Then I can look next door to see the other length that I'm going to need to help me. Then we're going to turn all these lengths into algebraic letters. We're going to create a formula and then solve to find our missing length. Okay, hopefully this video has been useful for you. If it has, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and I'm going to see you in another video. But for now, peace out.